Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the 𝗘𝗴𝗶𝗍𝗂 podcast. And today I'm excited to have a leader joining us who brings more than 2 decades of experience across software engineering, technology delivery, program management, and engineering leadership. He started his career as a software engineer and developer, working hands-on with .NET and enterprise applications, and over the years progressed into technical project management, program management, engineering management, and large-scale technology delivery. But what really caught my attention is the evolution in his career. From being a hands-on developer to becoming someone responsible for people, technology, customers, budgets, strategy, and delivery. And today we are going to explore that journey. So I am your host 𝗘𝗴𝗶𝗄𝗱, and I'm really excited to have Arun Gaikwad here with us today. Arun, welcome to the 𝗘𝗴𝗶𝗍𝗂 podcast.
Thank you, Harsha. Thanks for inviting me. As you already introduced me, just to add to it, I just want to make sure that for your listeners, I leave them with some practical lessons that I've learned so far in my career. So again, it's about technology is going to change constantly. It is changing a lot. But the responsible leadership is going to remain essential and important. So my message would be this for your listeners.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arun, for that important message at the very beginning of our podcast. So I want to get a start for our discussion today because I had a chance to get on a conversation with you while I was seeking your mentorship to get ideas on how I could reach the next level in my career. So there was one question that really stuck with me that you asked at that time. You asked me if that leadership position I am targeting, if it opens up today, what is one thing your manager would worry that I don't have yet? And that was actually a very nice way of asking what is your weakness, right? You put it, you drafted that question in such a way that really stuck with me and that really impacted me. And I would like to ask you what is the background, what is the purpose behind asking a question in that fashion, and what were you trying to get from me in that question, honestly?
Yeah. Thank you, Harsha. That particular question actually triggered something in you. And I'm very glad that my question wasn't provoking. It was more of a thought-provoking rather than intimidating. So I understand what exactly you wanted to do. And with my experience coming from as a developer to the engineering leadership position, I always thought that what exactly carries forward with me, which will hinder me or hinder my manager to take a decision on me, saying, coming back, what will my manager will be thinking before promoting me to the next role or next position. So my reason asking you this question was whether you are ready for that next step. Because what I've seen in my career, even I'm also the culprit, when you are getting into a leadership position, some of the mistakes that you make is the first mistake that you make because you are a developer. You try to be a best engineer in your team. You jump on the problems, you try to solve the bottlenecks, and to be good in everyone's mind, you try to avoid honest feedbacks to the people, to your lead, your developers, your QA testers, anyone. So as a leader, you have to remain out of that mindset that you don't have to be a best engineer. What you need to do is you don't need to solve the problem. You are supposed to create a team or create that mindset within your team by asking right and meaningful questions and make them think how exactly they can arrive to the solution. even if you are a best engineer, if you answer the questions, they are not going to think. They're going to always come to you, Harsha, this is what, in cloud technology, this is what we are facing. And Harsha will jump onto this, that particular thing and solve it there. And what's the point? What did they learn? They learned nothing. So they learned only one thing, that whenever there is a problem, go back to Harsha. So the reason behind asking that question is how exactly you can change yourself, change your behavior to rightly ask questions to your team. Ask them practical questions, that how will they approach, what they have thought, what are the solutions that they have thought of, which one makes sense, more sense, which one will fail, which one will expose any security vulnerabilities. So that kind of questions provoke something from within them, and you create a thinking person who would think about the situation, think about the problems, and try to solve by themselves. So you are not becoming bottleneck, you are creating leaders within your team who can take decisions.
Yeah, thank you, Arun. So what you were saying was that the early leaders, they struggle from the mistake of empowering their team and also not super great in delegating their work. I think those are like the two major mistakes that you were trying to highlight from your answer. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And with that, I want to ask you one of the follow-up questions I want to ask. So I want to ask you, what are the mistakes that engineering managers make early in their careers in addition to those two that you just highlighted, Arun?
Yeah, very good questions. Very good question about this. And personally, I've made some of the mistakes as well. So as I highlighted, you don't want to be the best engineer in your team. You don't want to jump into the problems and become a bottleneck, right? Other mistakes that you normally do is, as an engineer, you only look at how much the person is working, right? What are the tasks they are taking care of? What is the velocity they are producing, or how many hours they are working? Oh, they are working 10 hours. They're working over the weekends. That is a wrong way to evaluate someone's productivity. So the productivity should be measured by a leader, should be measured by the outcome that they produce. They may come up with outcome in 2 hours. They may come out with the outcome after 20 hours. But what exact business value they deliver with their work is something that engineering leader or engineering manager should learn to understand. Solving members' problems is good, but don't jump onto the problems. Ask questions. That way, you are developing their judgment. They are learning that how exactly they can arrive to the judgment, take that particular decision to implement the solution, right? So, and the other I would say the mistake I think is thinking that when you become engineering manager, you control everything, right? And you try to control, you try to get into everything, every part of it. You try to learn new technology, you try to solve everyone's problem. So as an engineering manager, you are not controlling anything. You need to change that mindset to become a provider, become a mentor, treat them in a way that they become a great leader. So as per my philosophy is, treat your team with empathy. Make them accountable for their work that they are doing. Inculcate the integrity within your team by showing the integrity by yourself. Be vulnerable. And that, when the integrity and the empathy comes together, you create leaders who are capable of taking decisions on their own, and they are not dependent on you. So if you try avoid these mistakes, you will definitely become a good engineering manager.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Arun. So I wanted to highlight some things to our audience as well. This letting go of the control was another important skill that we learned in a previous episode of this Elevate podcast as well. So yeah, it seems like a repeating mistake that most of the engineering managers do. So yeah, it's really important for our audience to master that skill of letting go of the control. Thank you very much for highlighting that again, Arun. And
Yes.
yeah, I see that, yeah, you have moved from individual developer to program management, project management, engineering management. So along this long career, there may be a couple of decisions, one or two decisions that really shaped your career. Maybe you felt later that this was not the right decision I made, or maybe, okay, I'm glad I made this decision. Likewise, you may have some evaluation on that decision, but I like to know a couple of decisions that really shaped your career that you would like to share with our audience, Arun.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it is kind of, that's a reason, that's a mistake that I always say. Though, so early in my career, when I became a project manager to start with, so my job was only limited to doing the management, project management in the sense, creating a schedule, making sure everyone is following that. So decision I took was that even though I become a project manager, I don't want to be just a people manager, right? Task manager, or in IT word it is said as paper pusher. I didn't want to be that. So I made sure that while I am a managing a project, managing the schedule, budget, I am also learning technology, or I'm also in line with the technology. So that really helped me understand the project, understand the problems that my team has, and I could be a person who could solve the difficult technical problems for my team. Not like jumping onto the problem, but making sure that I start asking right questions. What have you tried? What are the options do you see? What do you recommend? Which option or solution that is much more aligned with this particular question. So that's how I became more of a leader than a manager, and that inculcated that integrity and vulnerability, that showcasing that to my team. I started gaining their trust. So I did not jump onto the solution directly. Instead, I asked questions that gave them the exposure that, okay, our manager is not just directing us, but because he's asking us what can be done, what could have been a better way of doing it. That gave them the ownership and the confidence, and that gave me some time to focus on architecture and the stakeholders and unseen risk, and eventually people management, not just in terms of how many heads, but in terms of understanding their aspirations, mentoring them, that what are their career aspirations, how can they become better in the skill that they have, how can they be better in communication, how can they be better presenting it to the customer. And that is something that I learned, and the decision I took to be connected with technology helped me in my career to become engineering manager, where my involvement in technology really helped me shape my engineering manager career as well.
Yeah, thank you. So in that answer, you are saying that gaining trust is important while preparing the next level. So you ask the right questions, you guide them. So there is somebody to take up your role when you get promoted to the next level. So it's really important that you build that next level while you are growing yourself. I think that's a very important takeaway for our audience. Thank you very much for bringing that up, Arun. And with that, I want to ask you, so nowadays, in today's world, AI is rapidly changing software development. Something that previously that took maybe 2 weeks, now it's done in couple of days. So likewise, a lot of things are being automated, productivity is maximized. So what does effective engineering leadership actually looks like in this AI era, in your opinion?
Very good question. And that is a question that everyone is facing. Even I faced the same question when I got our management, our organization started pressurizing to adopt the AI before we started getting into the project itself. So as an engineering leader, when you are in liaison between your technical team and in the business, right? And then there is a third angle, which is your organization who is trying to pressurizing you to adopt AI before actually defining the problem. So I've seen that, I've experienced that. I agree that AI can always accelerate good engineering, but I cannot take the human out of the equation, because the bad decision and the technical debt that may get created because we are just introducing AI for the sake of it will definitely impact the project and will create more crisis later on. So as an engineering leader, you should take a step back and understand what problem we are solving. Is AI really important to be used or infused to actually solve that problem? As an engineer leader, you should think about what are the security vulnerabilities that can get introduced. What about the customer data safety? Are we exposing their data? What about the intellectual property? What are the governance risks we are introducing by infusing the AI into it? On the other side, as an engineering leader, you should also think from engineers' point of view. Because of the hype of AI, engineers get into a fear mode where they think their job will be replaced. So at that level, you have to use your empathy to sympathize with engineers, making sure that human is always in the loop. AI is not gonna replace them as of now. And at the executive levels, when you are approaching your organization executives, they have a different expectation. So you have to manage their expectations about, introducing AI is gonna improve the productivity for fourfold or fivefold, and we're gonna reduce the timeline from 1 month to few hours. Doesn't work that way. So we need to understand, or as an engineer leader, we need to balance both sides. Like, what is a more realistic understanding? So as an engineering leader, you must establish what are the usage guardrails that we have around AI. Where exactly the human review is required? How can we protect the data of our customers? What are the quality standards we can introduce to make sure that AI is responsible, and even though we are introducing AI, is not going to add more security vulnerabilities, more issues, rather than solving the problem, and make everyone's accountability very clear that what exactly needs to be done in that particular guardrail. And that is how we will be able to evaluate AI within our project and not just keep on generating AI code, which later on becomes a technical debt. So the one message that I would say or summarize my answer to this is, AI capability is increasing day by day, hour by hour. But your judgment as a technical leader, engineering leader, should also be improving gradually, not at the same speed. So taking a step back, looking at it, and making sure that you are taking a right decision is more important.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Arun. This really reminded me a recent post that you shared on LinkedIn as well. I just went through like couple of metrics that how you evaluate AI-based POC to the implementation, like rework, how much of rework that is. That was one particular metric that we always struggle with sometimes because of the ignorance that the AI has on our architecture. Sometimes we'll have to rework, and how much is that? So does it hinder the productivity benefit that AI is giving? So that was really nice, and I really love what you share on LinkedIn. So I invite our audience to connect with you on LinkedIn. I will put his LinkedIn URL in the description, and you can connect with him. You can seek his mentorship and get more knowledge on engineering leadership. So with that, Arun, I want to ask you, I saw that in your career you have worked with a lot of client-based companies handling clients. So I want to ask this question from you specifically because when you are handling client-based businesses, client-based products, there is enormous pressure from the clients to deliver certain features constantly. And with that, you have to manage the health of your team while not damaging their well-being. So how do you manage those two competing interests?
Wow, that's a very good question, and I have experienced that again with that. Earlier in my career as a developer, I have experienced that when I was at the receiving end, when we get pressurized, we have to work overnight, making sure that we are delivering that particular feature, and then our on-site coordinator will integrate that into production and deploy. But that did not have the proper balance, work-life balance, and it was always a chaos, right? In the chaotic world, we have to work. So I did not want my team to do that. When I believe in empathy, integrity, and that's how I create leaders, pushing people, have them work more is not something that I believe in. So I understand this is very difficult from both sides, that customers' priority is getting the feature rolled out in production fast. Since I'm from a service company management, they have their own pressure that we have to make sure that we are not going beyond budget or beyond schedule. So it is a balance that as an engineering leader we have to do. So the way that I handle is, I go to the fact. I need to understand what is the ask that business wants. And I don't jump onto that immediately without analyzing it properly, though the analysis speed is more, but I make sure that I come up with the facts. So what exactly they're asking? What impact or business impact is going to have? What are the dependencies or what are the risks that I see in that particular implementation? How exactly my capacity is going to get impacted because of this new change or new production pressure that we are getting. So I work with the end customer, which is our business and organization, make sure I give them the facts about what exactly the capacity is, what are the dependencies that we have, what are the risks that we are seeing, what are our options. So trade-offs, what are the options that we have in order to implement that particular feature, and what is the business impact it will have if we do it or if we don't do it. So with business context, if you go and explain that to your team, that why business is asking you to do that, and from the team's point of view, what are the trade-offs that we can do so that we can balance both the expectation from the customer as well as team's sanity or I don't want teams to burn out. So, and the important thing that I make sure that I do is I don't blame anything on anyone. So in this case, it's very easy to say, you have to complete this because you know what, our senior management wants this to be done. I can't do anything. You have to do it. That is a blame game. That is something you cannot do because it is just, you are not being integrated. You are not following the integrity which I believe in, and at the same time you are blaming someone which will hinder your own authenticity, right? So make sure that your empathy does not remove that accountability from within you, and you would understand the situation. Then the same situation you'll be able to explain to business, have some trade-offs so that your team is also not burning out as well as your customer is happy getting that particular functionality in production on time. So that's how I manage so that everyone is happy, team is happy, we are delivering the value with some trade-offs, and we are not even going over budget or over schedule.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Arun. Yeah, that really highlights how you can lead a team while managing the pressure from both the ends and maintaining a healthy team. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. So to conclude our episode and discussion today, I want to ask you, because I saw this important quality when I had that call with you, how important you see mentorship and coaching for someone's career and life. Can you share some ideas on that, please?
Yes, definitely. When I started my career, I did not have any coach or mentor. And that's what was lacking when I was growing in my career. So every decision I took, bad, good, it was mine. I never got any direction from anyone. So that was something in my mind when I became a project manager. I became responsible, accountable for my team. Coaching is something that I mentoring is something and coaching is something that I took it as a priority while building my team. And that building of team mentoring and coaching doesn't start after the fact that okay, you successfully delivered the project, now we'll start mentoring. It doesn't work that way. It has to be from the start and during the delivery. Projects will solve the problem today, but coaching your team, your people, will prepare your team members for tomorrow. So my idea of coaching and mentoring team is making sure I create experienced leaders across my distributed team. I don't differentiate between US team or India team or for that matter anywhere in the world. I try to connect with each person, understand their aspirations, understand their skills. I try to I try not to judge people before I understand them. So that is something that I learned a lot in my career. So as a leader, you sometimes listen to other people and make an opinion about somebody. I don't want to do that. I never do that. So I make sure that I understand that person before making judgment. I provide all the help. I understand their aspiration. Then accordingly, I work with them, give them more challenges, give them ownership, give them space to work in that area so that they can learn something. Even if they fail, it's okay because as a human we fail and that shows that we are trying. So that's how I mentor them, giving them technical guidance, giving them more responsibility, giving them honest feedback on time, because I've seen that people at the end of the year they give feedback which is not useful at all because entire year is gone and then after the year you get feedback, you're not going to help. It's not going to help them, that person. So giving them honest and right on the right time, giving the feedback will boost their confidence. Give them space to fail. That will boost their confidence. Give them help, whatever needed. Provide them visibility. So the way that I do it, even though it is offshore, even though they have a little bit communication gap, I still give them visibility in front of customer by giving some demo, provoking them to answer the questions or ask questions. That gives them the confidence to go in front of customer, talk to them, treat customer as customer or as a human being, not as a god. So that's how this coaching and mentorship is very helpful, and that makes people take decisions, take the ownership, take responsibility, and that is how I connect my principles, which is empathy, integrity, and creating leaders. So I don't ask my team to just deliver, but I ask my team what made you stronger by delivering it? What exact lesson that you learned by delivering this? And that's how that's the importance that I have in my coaching and mentorship.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Arun. So there are a couple of things that I got from that answer, and I'm really glad that I asked that question from you because one thing really stuck with me, and I think it is that if our audience wants to take one from this episode, I think that is that message that implementing a task today will get that task done for now. But if you coach your team, they can take over any future challenge. That is the most important part. So even if you leave the organization, your team still can handle any future challenge because you have coached them, because you have mentored them in the right way. Thank you very much. And I love that idea of on-time, honest feedback rather than year-end feedback, which doesn't benefit anyone, honestly. So thank you very much for bringing up all those important ideas. And I think this episode was very helpful. Maybe individual developers who are looking to promote looking to get promoted to leadership roles, and also seasoned leaders as well who wants to learn and grow and become the next level. So I think there are a lot of important nuggets from this episode today, and I invite all of you to follow Arun Gaikwad and get his mentorship and learn from what he shares in LinkedIn as well. With that, I want to conclude today's episode, Arun, and thank you very much for joining with us and sharing your wisdom with our audience. And thank you very much for our audience as well to joining with us today. And we will connect with you with another interesting episode of the Elevate podcast with another interesting guest. Thank you very much. Thank you, Arun.
Thank you, Harsha. I just want to conclude from my end as well. Thank you very much for having this discussion and thought-provoking questions that really got something out of me, what exactly I believe in. So I would leave this episode with some advices for the future engineering leaders. So as an engineering leader, you should believe in creating teams, building teams and creating systems that don't require your constant presence. Tools will change, technology will change, but your judgment, your empathy, your integrity and your courage will remain important. The proudest moments are not just launches or going into production or technical solution. They include, as a leader, they include seeing people you coach taking up the leadership, taking the ownership, lead the difficult conversations, make sound decisions, and carry forward your legacy of mentoring others as well. So I encourage leaders to remain technically curious, but do not leave the people coaching aspects of your leadership, and be honest about your risk. Hold people accountable, but respectfully. Develop people who can eventually operate beyond you. They don't need you because they have already learned a lot from you and they will carry forward that. So leadership is not about how many people depend on you. It is more about how many leaders you are creating by investing in them.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Harsha,
much.
again for inviting me.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you very much for that important ending that you gave to our audience. I think there is a lot of insights that everyone can benefit, and we'll connect with our audience with another interesting episode. And thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.